Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. As the title and the thumbnail alludes to, it is the continuous rise of Sword and Shield sealed product. I hate to say I told everyone so, but countless videos at the start of this year when we're comparing singles from Scarlet and Violet era, sealed product from Scarlet and Violet era, singles from Sword and Shield, that were absolutely pumping to Sword and Shield sealed, I kept saying the best bet at the moment is investing in Sword and Shield sealed. So that's what today's video is all about. We're going to compare Sword and Shield sealed versus a lot of the singles and modern product around at the moment and how it's comparing. So if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. I'm Michael /PokeOz. We talk all things Pokemon card investing and do a little bit of news and market watch. And if you're tuning back in, which literally a lot of you do, I'm greatly appreciative. Thank you so much for continuously watching the channel and supporting it. It means a lot. So let's jump into it. Here's this video straight off the Collector app, which is of course the sponsor of today's video, and there will be a link in the description to download it. It's a great app. I've been using it for ages to store all my sealed and singles product and see how they're performing over time and what percentage gains I'm getting from them. So let's start with Chilling Reign, which it's been talked about so much. This isn't a video about Chilling Reign. I'm not going to go into the set and how well put together the set is and what the chase cards are. It has been beaten to death, Chilling Reign. But let's just look at how the sealed product compares to the singles inside there. So of course a booster box, it's nearly pushing $370 now. So Chilling Reign booster boxes have well and truly climbed up. I think the last time I checked on eBay Australia for my fellow Australians, I don't think you can buy one for under 600 Australian dollars. Or American dollary dues, is that a thing? A lot of Americans seem to comment dollary dues down in the comment section. Hey, why not take the piss at Aussies, eh? Anyway, American dollars, 368, so verging on $370. Now, if we compare that to the Blaziken, look at that map. Look at how much Chilling Reign the booster box has been performing. Look at its gains. It just continuously rises, and it rises in the same fashion that I've said it will rise in, which is steep increase. Maybe we see a reprint towards the start, it drops, then it increases again, it levels out for maybe 3 to 6 months, and then it sees another increase in price. And that's just what happens with sealed product. Now, if we compare that to the Blaziken, singles are all over the show. Singles are more like this. And at the moment, a lot of singles, particularly those Sword and Shield big old arts, are actually on a slight decline at the moment. And if we jump into another example, Fusion Strike. Hey, is anyone on that Poke Investing Reddit forum? Someone posted a video of, a picture of Fusion Strike, and I'm pretty sure like their bed was lifted up, and there was just like, it would have been like 80 or 100 booster boxes of Fusion Strike just sitting under their bed. Talk about putting gold under your bed. Hey, $616 Fusion Strike is up to. That is insane. Insane. And I've said for a long time that Fusion Strike will be the second best performing set for the Sword and Shield era. And I wouldn't be surprised if down the track it verges on Evolving Skies pricing. Not anytime soon. I'm not saying in the next 12 months or 24 months, and I do actually think the same with Cosmic Eclipse and Team Up, and probably Unified Minds and Unbroken Bonds as well. I think those 4 boxes eventually down the track might well become a very similar price. Anyway, if we look at Fusion Strike, $616 versus the singles inside there, Gengar and Espeon, again, they're on that decline. And finally, if we jump into Lost Origin, another extremely well-performing Sword and Shield set, we can see the booster box climbed up to $410. Again, climbing. If we compare that to the main hit inside the set, which is of course the Giratina V, the beautiful Shinji Kanda artwork inside there, that is actually on the decline over the last 3 months. So from all these examples that I've just showed, I think it rings true to pretty much any Sword and Shield set. That booster boxes, if we look at how they've been performing over time, let's say they come out of the gate. A lot of these booster boxes were somewhere in the vicinity of $80 to $100 when they came out. And look, they might have risen up a little bit to $100, then they might have copped a reprint, which dropped them back down to 90 or 85 even. And then all of a sudden, time goes by, 12 months passes since the reprint, 18 months passes since the reprint. We start seeing this little climb up. And then all of a sudden people go, hold on, Pokemon's doing what it always did, and that is booster boxes are starting to rise. And as a result, eventually we get to this stage with all of those examples, Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike probably the best example, and Lost Origin, where we see this real step up. You know, it can level out for 6 months, then bang, it climbs again. Level out for 6 months, bang, it climbs again. And Fusion Strike, like I said, is probably the best example of this. Because if we look at Fusion Strike over the last 6 months, I remember back in January, like it peaked at an all-time high, like mid-January this year, 2025, of course. And then all of a sudden, it started to retrace a little bit, and everyone goes, hold on, here we go. You know, it took the stairs up, but it's about to take the elevator down. It's about to lose all its gains. And I was like, well, no, I don't think so at all. I wouldn't be surprised if it retraced a little bit. But I said, mark my word, if it retraces a little bit, it's going to level out over the next 3 to 6 months. And then all of a sudden, you know what? It's going to climb back up again. And that's exactly what's happened with Fusion Strike. In fact, it's exactly what happened with Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, Lost Origin, Silver Tempest, Brilliant Stars. Like, you name any booster box from the Sword and Shield era, I do still think they were the better play for 2025 in comparison to Scarlet and Violet booster boxes. We all know what happened with Scarlet and Violet singles, so I don't think I really need to touch on that subject. But in terms of Scarlet and Violet boxes, some of those are phenomenal. And they're in the early stages of the example I just talked about with Sword and Shield booster boxes. They're at the stage where they've just come out. Maybe some of them are 12 months old. Maybe some of them have just copped a reprint. Maybe some of them have copped a reprint 6 months ago. Maybe some of them are 4 months old, or 6 months old, like Surging Sparks, and about due for a reprint. And we see this little sort of, uptick, and then reprint hits and it might drop prices a little bit, then it stagnates for a while, and then 12 or 18 months passes from the reprint and we start to see this slide up, and then all of a sudden we'll see a big spike. You know, when Scarlet and Violet is out of rotation, or those sets are out of rotation, then all of a sudden we see the same performance, and we will see the same performance with Scarlet and Violet booster boxes, particularly the good ones. And I've done countless videos on this, and this isn't a video about what good sets are in Scarlet and Violet, but if we're talking good sets, in my opinion, we're talking sets like Surging Sparks, we're talking sets like Paldea Evolved. Paldea. How do Americans pronounce it? Because I guarantee you there'll be a comment, I know I've brought it up, so I've probably brought it on myself. There'll be a comment about how I pronounce Paldea. I don't know. Fellow Australians, do I say it right? Do I say it the same as you guys and girls? Paldea? What do you call it in America? Paldea? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, the good sets, Surging Sparks, Paldea Evolved, even, is Twilight that good? Is Twilight a one-trick pony just with the Greninja? Is Temporal Forces a better set than Twilight because it's got so much depth to it? A bunch of illustration rares. Is Paradox a sleeper? Don't know. And tell you what, I'm about to do one video on this actually very soon about, there are going to be a couple of Scarlet and Violet booster boxes that sneak under the radar. Now, talking back to the continued rise of Sword and Shield booster boxes and what we can take out of what we've seen so far this year. And I think what we can take out of it is you just can't go wrong investing in sealed Pokemon card product, particularly good set booster boxes. It's like so easy. It's just almost like the blueprint to sealed Pokemon investing, buying booster boxes. That's what I think we can take out of 2025. We can take out of 2025 that singles you can make rapid gains on. You're not going to make probably the same amount of gains out of a sealed booster box as what you could if you got lucky on singles. But singles are just so damn volatile. And we've seen that. I mean, look at those graphs that I showed up from the Collector app before. Gengar from Fusion Strike, Giratina from Lost Origin, of course, the Blaziken from Chilling Reign, you name it. There's so many alt arts from Sword and Shield that rose rapidly, and not even as rapidly as some of the illustration rares from Scarlet and Violet era, or some of the trainer galleries from Sword and Shield era that went from like $2 cards to $14 cards, like 7 times their value in 30 days. Like, there was just ridiculous gains. So if you did it right and cashed in, yes, you can make very quick gains on singles, but then look at a lot of them. They took the stairs up and then they got the elevator back down. Some of them are dropped heavily. And alt arts are doing what alt arts are probably going to do after a massive ride up and a massive rise. They're retracting in price just a little bit. Whereas sealed, we're just not going to see the same effect with sealed. And I can say 100 times, what can we take from this video? Sword and Shield booster boxes aren't getting any cheaper. They're not going to be printed again. They're just not. Chilling Reign isn't getting cheaper. Fusion Strike at $600 will seem extremely cheap in 3 years' time. I can guarantee you. So if you ever want to buy a Fusion Strike booster box, it's what I was saying about Evolving Skies 12 months ago. It's what I was saying about Evolving Skies 18 months ago. It's what I was saying about Evolving Skies 2 years ago. when I was only like 3 months into making this channel. I think, geez, we're getting close to 2.5 years now on this channel. Anyway, I was saying that about Evolving Skies when it was $300. It ain't going to be any cheaper. Then it was $400. It ain't getting any cheaper. Then it was $600, like Fusion Strike is at the moment. And I said, it's not getting any cheaper. And everyone was like, we missed the boat. I don't want to buy Evolving Skies. It's too dear now. Oh, can I bite the bullet? Should I? It's going to come back down in price. And then look at it now. And the same thing can be said about all three of those sets that I've just mentioned. And if I were to pick one, Fusion Strike's still the best. Fusion Strike is still the best investment out of those three sets, even at $600 compared to Lost Origin at $400. Mark my words, in 10 years' time, a Fusion Strike booster box will, and look, I know it's a ballsy comment, Fusion Strike booster box will be the same price as an Evolving Skies booster box. I'm not saying it's as good a set, it's not, but there's something special about that set, something that, the total set value can't tell you. The fact it's a Ghost Psychic set, the fact that Gengar is the main chase card, the fact there's an Espeon in there, the fact there's Muse in there, the fact it's a nice looking booster box, and that's going to mean a lot to sealed collectors. It's a pink booster box with Mew on the front, and it's a Ghost Psychic set. It'll be nipping at the heels of Evolving Skies. These are all still good investments. They would have been better investments at the start of the year, back in January or end of last year, December, when I kept saying, Sword and Shield booster box is still a good investment. But they're not getting any cheaper. That's what we can take out of this video. So there you go. The continued rise of Sword and Shield booster boxes. I'm Michael. This is Pokey Oz. Catch everyone next time.